On January 8, 1892, American newspapers reported the death on her ranch of Marie Suisse, a determined Savoyard woman from Thones, who emigrated to San Francisco in 1850, drawn by the furor over the discovery of gold. According to the gold diggers, she managed to amass a fortune in this tough trade. Every contemporary Frenchman of that time remembers this woman, who combined a remarkable capacity for work with extraordinary energy and called herself Marie Pantalon.
She probably extracted more than a cubic meter of gold.
U.S. law prohibited women from wearing men's clothing.
A woman who's extremely famous and much talked about in the newspapers, but then completely fell into oblivion during the 20th century.
To think, if this young woman can do that, I can do what I want to do.
Marie Suisse was born in the early 19th century at the foot of the Alps, which were not yet French.
At that time, Savoy was a poor region with a very high immigration rate, considerable seasonal immigration in winter when there was less agricultural activity, and also immigration for several years, sometimes even for good. The most popular destinations were Lyon and Paris.
Paris, 1846.
She was reduced to extreme poverty and lived homeless under Pont Neuf.
She said she was found under the Pont Neuf in Paris. This woman saved her life because she found her a job and probably a room so that she could live safely in a big, dangerous city like Paris was for young girls at the time.
She was hired by a Parisian newspaper, and there she learned the news that shook the world.
We don't know which newspaper she worked for or what her job was. In any case, that's where she heard about California and the gold rush.
Gold was discovered in California in 1848, and news seemed to travel faster to other countries other than the U.S.
We should remember the historical background of California, which was Hispanic. That's why we have names like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Monterey, which was the capital.
Just before California was bought by the United States, the Mexican governor had granted a huge concession to Johann Sutter, a German-speaking Swiss farmer who had come to work in the region. He then sent one of his men, James Marshall, to Coloma to build a sawmill.
Marshall diverted the course of the river, and when the riverbed was drained of water, he saw something glittering that turned out to be a gold nugget, and then saw a few more. He quickly returned to Sutter's fort. Sutter had constructed his buildings where Sacramento is now, and they both started to determine if it really was gold. When they felt sure it was gold, Sutter had only one thing in mind: to hurry and get his title confirmed quickly by the new American authorities. The original title had been granted by the Mexican authorities, so it had to be confirmed by the new authorities. Sutter and Marshall intended to keep it a secret. The man who truly started the gold rush was a Mormon journalist named Sam Brannan.
Sam Brannan, having heard of the discovery and being an exceptionally good entrepreneur, hastened to buy all the necessary equipment and supplies. Then he went on a wild ride through the streets of San Francisco with a gold flask in his hand, shouting, "Gold! Gold from the American River."
From here on, everything moved very quickly. There was no longer any doubt. People knew there was gold in California through various official sources. When folks met on the street, the question was not, are you going to California, but when are you leaving? There was no longer any doubt. People felt impelled to set out and be part of this California adventure. So every day, Frenchmen read ads in the newspaper about ships leaving for California. And since Marie Suisse worked for a newspaper, she was one of the first to hear about this.